want to thank everybody for joining us today on the Zone Coaches Spotlight here at Zone Sports Academy. I have David Harden, pitcher for the Somerset Patriots, and Carlos Ruiz, pitcher for the Camden Riversharks, joining me today. I'm Andrew Romanella, coach and instructor at Zone Sports Academy as well. Just to get it kicked off and started, fellas, and on Dave, I'll start with you, then we'll go to Carlos. What was the experience like when you first found out you were becoming a professional baseball player? You were about to sign your first contract. You know, the little kid inside you probably came up a little
absolutely, bit. Absolutely. Growing up, for almost all of us who love the game, play the game all the time, it's our dream to play professional baseball. Obviously, in the big leagues or out in the backyard, you're practicing, hitting the World Series game winner, throwing strike three or whatever like that. But it was a great feeling. I didn't get to play affiliated ball, but I signed an independent ball contract in the Frontier League for the Southern Illinois Miners. And knowing that you're going to have a chance to play professional baseball, it's a dream come true.
That's awesome. And Carlos, can you jump in there?
Oh, yeah, definitely the same. You grow up thinking about hitting that 3-2 count, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, World Series homer, and then you get the phone call that, hey, we're going to sign you, and it's exciting. Like Dave, I signed an independent contract with the Camden Riversharks in the Atlantic League, and I got to play against the highest level of baseball, so it was definitely exciting.
Now, from my experience with both of you, you both kind of took a different path getting to professional baseball. So, Carlos, I'll start with you here. Talk to us about the path that you had to take. I know we've worked together for a little bit, and you were busting your butt behind the scenes trying to get a contract, going to tryouts here, there, flying across the country, figuring things out. Looking back on it now, what was that path like, and how did it help? What helped you get there and continue to fight?
It's definitely a grind. This whole year has been up and down for me. I went down for the Yankees, the Mets, and the Tigers down to spring training workouts, and obviously I didn't sign with them, but that made me want it even more. So I kept working, and I ended up getting a phone call by Camden, and that's how it kind of got there. But I was doing workouts and busting my butt throughout the whole time and waiting for that phone call.
And Dave, jump in here and explain your situation. And it might vary in some ways from
sure.
Carlos's,
Sure.
just so everyone can hear the difference.
So I didn't get drafted out of college, like I said. I kind of sat around, played college summer ball after my senior year, and got the opportunity to go to the Frontier League out in Southern Illinois, which is a much younger league than the Atlantic League. Like Carlos knows, I'm sure you're the youngest player on that team, or right around there. And when I got to the Atlantic League 2 years ago, at 25, I was the second youngest player on the team. So being in the Frontier League, which is considered like a single A ball, and then moving on up to the Atlantic League, which is like triple A, it's definitely, it's a little scary. It's a little intimidating, I'll be honest. I walk into a clubhouse where half the team has been in the big leagues, and I never played with any big leaguers. I still had them on a pedestal a little bit. And then you come to find out that everybody's there to do their job or get back to the affiliated ball or back to the major leagues, and you get that sense of team again, that you think because somebody's in the big leagues, they're not the same baseball player you are, but they are. And you come to find that out, everybody's got the same attitude, trying to accomplish the same goals.
Absolutely. Now, just for the people that might not understand, can you touch on the differences between independent baseball leagues and explain what affiliated baseball is, what independent ball is, how there's the Frontier League, the Atlantic, and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are several independent leagues which are not affiliated with specific major league organizations or Major League Baseball. So I could go play for the Somerset Patriots, or you could play for the Camden Riversharks, or the Southern Illinois Miners, or whoever in any different independent league, and you can get signed by any major league organization to that affiliation. Whereas in affiliated baseball, you get signed or you get drafted, you're within that system, and until you're traded or released, you stay within that system. So I think that explains it a little bit.
And that's spot on. And then to build on that, affiliated baseball, the easiest way to remember it is Major League Baseball, and affiliated with that. Independent is not. And that's how I keep it easy. I always remember that. Well, And it's exciting for both of you. I know I played baseball as well, and I only got to play to the college level, and I was very proud of myself. And I know a lot of people like myself that always wanted to play professional baseball. So once you finally got there, and Carlos, we'll start with you here. Was your first season what you expected? Was it different? Was it more nerve-wracking? Was it a lot easier than you anticipated? What kind of, when you first got in the locker room, you say to yourself, all right, I'm here, and this is what it's like?
I mean, it's definitely exciting because, you're going from college that you walk into your field, now you're walking into a stadium and a clubhouse, you have your own locker type of deal. It's exciting. It is what you expect, but a lot of stuff you don't expect, stuff that you don't know about clubhouse rules and, being the rookie and stuff. It's tough. It's not, like Dave said, you're walking into a clubhouse that a lot of these guys that played in the major leagues or AAA baseball, and you're the new guy, and there's no ifs, ands about it. So, it's exciting. It was special, and when you see your name on the scoreboard when you first take the field, and hey, now it's your job, and you got to go do your work.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Dave, what was it like walking into your first clubhouse?
It was exciting. Not to overuse that word,
Yeah.
but I think that is spot on. You're a little anxious, a little nervous. You don't fully know what to expect. You're there competing for a job now, right? To get to college, you're competing with everybody around you, or to make your high school team, or to get to college ball, and then to get to pro ball. And then now that you're there, you're fighting for your spot, whether it's in the rotation or in the bullpen, or whether you're starting or anything like that. And then furthermore, to get back to affiliated baseball, you're competing against every other player in independent baseball. So that's a realization that hits you pretty early on. You start seeing guys get released that you're not really used to doing in college because you've got your team. The only players that really go on are players that graduate.
That's got to be such a
finish.
difference when the first happens.
It is different. It's a shock a little bit because in spring training especially, you see these players, you get to know them, the next thing you know, you're here, I'm here, my buddy's not. And he's out there without a job. He just lost his dream a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've got to go back on that grind and kind of find yourself and rediscover what you have to do. just like you getting released, I guess, out of spring training or not making a major league club.
Right.
You have to go find like kind of the what now, and you start calling your connections and your coaches and old teammates, and you see what steps are available to continue to pursue your dream.
You know, and right there, I caught the biggest thing you both talked about was now it becomes a job. And touching on, players being released, and when you see your name on the scoreboard, you're saying to yourself, okay, now my pipeline to some financial help here is on the line, besides the fact that I just love playing this game. So once you finish that first year, now I know you're going into your 5th or 6th summer, and I know now you're going into your first summer after having played. What do you tell yourself in that off season? Do you look at a specific thing you want to get better at? Do you say, my game as a whole just needs to get better because I want to stay on this level? Do you look at certain guys that you played with, or you just simply stick to the routine that got you there and say, hey, I'm just going to keep getting better the way I've gotten better over the last 18, 19 years of my life?
Well, I mean, you definitely don't want to be satisfied. Obviously, I was happy that I got signed and I got an opportunity to play at that level, but I'm nowhere near satisfied. I want to take my game to another level. And, I mean, nothing changes. I want to play in major leagues one day. So whether he believes that or you believe that, I believe that one day I will. So I'm going to grind every day still and keep going after my dream.
Absolutely.
So what I've experienced is, going into my 6th season this next year, is you really have to find something to push yourself within. I've been lucky enough to have very successful seasons every year I've played. I've been to the playoffs every year. We won the championship this year. I won in my 2nd year in the Frontier League, and I did well early on. I did well my 1st year in Somerset, and last year was the worst season I've ever had. I came in, I did terrible. And so you kind of reassess what you need to work on going into that off season. You focus on your strengths, because they are your strengths, and that's what has gotten you here. But you also have to notice and identify what you can improve on, because hitters are out there doing the same thing. Especially for me, knowing I have to walk in and throw against a guy with 2,000 major league at bats, he's seen just about everything I have to offer. So what can I do mentally, physically, to be successful in this league and get noticed by other leagues also?
Now, and that's probably a big lesson for kids as well. Never be satisfied is essentially what you're both telling me, and find that drive. Now, if you had somebody that wasn't me sitting here, and they had that look in their eyes, 10, 12, 11, 12-year-old, whatever it is, and they said to you guys, what do I do? If you could, one sentence, two sentences, really quick, what would you tell them? And Dave, we'll start with you, just to keep them, motivated and excited.
You can do it. You absolutely can do it. You have to want it, first of all. You really have to love the game, because as the culture of baseball has become today, how it was growing up for me, so competitive, you, I'm sure, the same way, you have to eat, drink, sleep baseball. And I know that's cliche to say, but it's true. I've loved the game since the day I started playing. And I continue to, because the second you get complacent or think you have it figured out, you don't.
Absolutely.
So you always have to push yourself to become better, whether it's power or picking out a pitch to hit or throwing my fastball in or how to approach this type of hitter. There's always something that you can become better at, and that's fun to challenge yourself in that way.
Absolutely. And Carlos, can you touch on that?
That was a little more than one or two sentences.
We're lenient here on Coach's Corner. We're lenient here.
Definitely. You just have to push yourself and not be satisfied, like we keep talking about. But if local guys like me, or Dave's obviously not from around here, but he's working at Zone with us. We have Coach Steve, Coach Ray, all of us. I mean, we weren't satisfied, and we were you guys at 10 and 12 years old. You just have to push yourself, and no one says you can't do it.
And that's beautiful. And I still think sometimes I believe I can still do it. Now, for some fun stuff before we finish here. Is there anybody in particular that you remember facing or wanting to face, or saying to yourself, I'd love to see this guy in the batter's box? Now, both of you being pitchers, I'm sure it's somebody that's got a big stick or something along those lines that you want to get out.
Well, this year, Rafael Palmero's son played for the Sugarland Skeeters, and they signed him for the weekend that we were down in Texas. And I actually faced his son the at-bat before, and I got him to ground out, or else I would have faced Rafael. But, that would have been special. He's one of 5 guys, I think, with 3,000 hits or 500 homers. If I had to personally pick, I got to go with Jeter. He's my idol growing up.
That's fair.
I'd have to see if I could get him or not.
That's very fair.
Let's see. 2 years ago, I got to pitch against Dontrell Willis, and he actually hit for himself, so I could throw against Dontrell Willis.
That's
Struck him out once, and he also got a single off me on a changeup. Should have stuck with the fastball, obviously. But that was a really cool experience. He won the Rookie of the Year, I think, and he's a big guy, tons of pop. I'm glad
from what I remember, a good major league hitter while he was pitching for the Marlins mainly, of course.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
That's cool.
Yeah. But right now, I'd like to throw against somebody like Trout or Bryce Harper, just because it'd be fun.
Absolutely. I always thought about this question, I think, growing up, and mine was, I was never a pitcher, but if I always could stand on the mound against one guy, I'd want to be Ken Griffey Jr. I just want to see what his stature is like in the box. But as a hitter, I'd want to face Roger Clemens, just because, the passion that man had on the mound. I might be afraid to step in the box, seeing as he's throwing stuff at Mike Piazza, but that was always
see what he's all about, for sure.
Yeah, if he's the best in the game, I want to go against the best in the game. Whether I go 0 for 3, 3 Ks, 9 pitches, I don't care.
You had your shot.
Exactly. And then the last thing, and unfortunately, Carlos, hopefully you will get there after this next season, but with you just winning the championship in the Atlantic League and it being your second in 5 years, can you just describe just what that feeling was like? I guess the word I want to use is jubilation, because I can't even imagine.
That's a great word. Especially in the Atlantic League, where the season is 140 games plus the playoffs.
It's a grind.
Bus trips, even though the travel's not terrible, it's a grind. Every day, we'll get maybe 2 off days a month, That's fine because I choose to be here, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's great, and I love the game. But in having that time invested and all that practice, the early work, the bullpens, the ground balls, the pitchers' meetings, the hitters' meetings that everybody goes through, it's fantastic to finish the season on that high note, knowing that you did put in that effort and that hard work. To see your friends who did the exact same thing and the coaches who've worked so hard, the past 3 years, we've been in the playoffs. My first year with Somerset, like I've said before, Coach Ray Navarrete hit the game-winning home run off of me.
That's unbelievable.
And that was a championship
That's
game.
unbelievable.
Last year, we went to the playoffs, got knocked out first round. This year, thankfully, we beat the Long Island Ducks in the first round, moved on, played Southern Maryland, and finally got that championship, the first championship in 5 years for Somerset, which is great.
I know they have a great fan base, and I'm sure you know that just as well.
It's fantastic.
You played there
Great
for 3
area.
years.
I love this area around here.
And if I know correctly, you were able to face the Long Island Ducks in the championship in 2013 because the leagues were set up a little bit differently.
Right.
What happened?
They were in the Liberty Division or the Freedom Division, a different division than Somerset. But to consolidate some travel plans, things like that, we got thrown into the same division. So we kind of lost that rivalry that we always have with them. They've got a great fan base, great stadium, great atmosphere that I feel like we have here at Somerset as well. So would I have liked to seen them in the championship series? Absolutely. But it was good to get them to play.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter who
Right.
you're playing.
No, you're right.
Well, I hope, hopefully, Carlos, hopefully you join in on that path. Maybe some of this interview will rub off and we're good to go. But I think it's any level. Every kid just loves winning a championship. And I know, and then I know it wasn't you playing, but with South Plainfield High School, and I just want to touch on that real quick because I'm sure people that might be watching this have some affiliation there. Being on the other side of the fence, being a coach, not being a player, did that change the happiness for the championship, or did it almost add to it because you physically instilled these kids with the belief that they could do it?
It didn't change one bit on. I mean, it definitely took it to another level because it's just like being a player. You're there every day, and you're putting in your time and your work the same amount that they are. Obviously, they're doing the physical labor, but you're still there, and to see the kids, taking care of what or doing what you taught them it's
a great feeling.
Right,
It's
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, I graduated 2010 in South Plainfield, and we were ranked number 1 in the state, and we ended up choking in the semis. So I always said I wanted to go back. We never won a state championship. This was our first ever. So to win the first one, and I got to be a coach for it, was unbelievable. It's definitely special.
That's beautiful. Thank you both for joining us today. For those of you that don't know and that are watching now, this is going to be a consistent spot on the Zone Sports Academy YouTube page where we interviewing different coaches and instructors here at Zone Sports Academy. I want to thank Carlos Ruiz of the Camden Riversharks and Zone Sports Academy. And I want to thank Dave Harden of the Somerset Patriots and, of course, Zone Sports Academy. I'm Andrew Romanella. Thank you guys for watching very much, and we'll see you next time.